You're listening to the World Footie Net Podcast. Welcome to the World Footie Net Podcast. You can email us at podcast@worldfootie.net or alternatively, post your comments on the World Footie Net Facebook page.
Welcome, everybody, to the WFN International Podcast. I am your not-so-humble host, Hooligan Broom. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is Hooligan Broom. With us today is Miss Louise K. How you doing, Louise?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. I'm Louise, obviously I'm from England, unlike you other guys. On Twitter, I'm at Miss Louise K. And I've also got my own YouTube channel as well, where I do the Premier League predictions every week. And if you just search Louise's predictions, that should come up.
Cool. Also, we have with us, as always, Andre Sherrard. How you doing, Angry?
I'm doing all right. My name is Andre Sherrard, a.k.a. Angry. My Twitter handle is AHT4005.
Cool. And as always, our ever faithful founder and engineer, Dre Footie. How you doing, Dre?
I'm doing good. Hello, everyone. This is your favorite Negrito Chalk Ice, politically incorrect MLS hater. And, I'm old and opinionated, so just get ready for that. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Dre Footie. And you can join us and tell us how you really feel.
Cool. All right, well, let's get into this, guys. Last week in the Premiership was quite interesting. And we'll start off whatever game you watched that was your game of the week, whether it's the team you support or another team that you found interesting. Let's hear about it. We'll start with Louise.
Yeah, I watched the Arsenal game, being an Arsenal fan, and I was actually really impressed. I did predict we'd lose because Man City are the champions, but we did really, really well, I think. We were so happy, just to get 1 point from them was amazing. Obviously, being away as well. So, Man City aren't quite what they were. I don't think they're going to do as well as last season. But the game was brilliant. I was really, really impressed with Arsenal. I think it's given the Arsenal fans a bit of faith in that. Just because Van Persie's gone, we wasn't a one-man team. We're a team without him. So, it's kind of a bit of optimism for us, I guess.
Now let me ask you something. Obviously, I support the Arsenal as well, but watching that game, until that lucky set piece that Manone fumbled, I thought it was our game to lose. I didn't think Man City really had any clear standing. I mean, they had their moments.
We was definitely more dominant, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, we was the better team. We really, really was. We just don't have enough opportunities to know what to score. We were definitely the stronger team, without a doubt, and that showed throughout the whole of the game. So, and that's such a positive thing. It was a draw. It would have been nice to have won, but we were the better team, and Man City just weren't quite as good as what they were cracked up to be.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. It appears to me that our new people coming in and RVP going out, we are playing as a team again. And it really seems like Arteta brings that maturity to the midfield.
It was kind of with Henry, and that everyone thought, without them we're nothing. And it did make probably all the other players think, we are a one-man team. Now he's gone, they're all bonding and they're all working together a lot more, rather than it just being him, rather than him just being the wonder man and Arsenal being all about Van Persie. It's now about everyone in the team and they're all working together. So we're more of a team than we've ever been. So.
Absolutely. Angry.
What's up?
What was your game?
Well, I watched the Everton-Swansea game while I was working out early Saturday morning. And I was actually going to be a bandwagon Swansea fan until Everton basically dominated that game and closed any hopes of that. Everton was impressive in the weekend. I mean,
Yeah.
Fellaini is a beast everywhere, everywhere on the pitch, and, they just have a solid team.
Yeah.
And you have Tim Howard, who, in my opinion, a top 5 Premier League goalkeeper. Nobody's going to tell me any different.
Agreed.
So that was pretty much my game of the week, and seeing former Valencia player Pablo Hernandez only playing 45 minutes reaffirms our choice of selling him.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, Angry, what about Valencia? How have they started out this year? I mean, I'm sure you're keeping tabs on your clubs.
It's not going good.
Didn't they? I mean, but they got a result early in the season, but I haven't actually been watching them since. So I guess
Sunday, I woke up at 6 a.m. to watch them play, and they lost 2-0. It was getting so bad that I just said, you know what, I'm not watching this. I'll watch the U17 World Cup, and I'll end up watching that instead of that. I was about to throw stuff at my TV. I was that mad.
And see, I think that was the fear last season when you were going over what was going to happen with the personnel.
I think it's just it's a mixture of management and not having that right midfield.
Yep.
Because Danny Pereira is just not showing up. He's not being the player we need him to be.
Okay. I would 100% agree with that assessment of Valencia. I think they have the staff to do better than they're doing, but when I've seen them, when I've seen highlights, it's almost like the guys they show up physically, their heads aren't there, and they kind of wander around the pitch a little bit.
Yeah, it was weird because I was watching the Deportivo game, and for the first about 40-45 minutes, they were dominant. They looked good. They looked like, they could actually be a contender of the La Liga. But then, they gave that 2-goal lead, and everything just basically went downhill from then. The Celta Vigo game we won, that wasn't really a convincing win. We had to have Alex Sissoko score a header. And the Mallorca game, I kind of expected us not to go to the islands and beat them, but I would have rather had something. And that Bayern game, I wasn't going to say anything about that. About third best team in Europe right now. So, can't really do much about that.
Well, when they started out, because I was anxious to see what they would do against Real Madrid in that first game, and they got points off of Madrid.
Yeah.
And then they had a sort of a strange result with Deportivo.
Yep.
And then just got pipped by Barcelona. And that's 2 points out of 9, but look at the opponents you had. And I was thinking, well, they've got through that tough part, and here they can start to roll a little bit. But I guess they haven't been able to do much with that.
Yeah, it seems like it's the same stuff from the previous staff. It's just attitude, and it's just going down and getting the hard result, or keeping possession when you score that goal, or when you score those 2 goals, and keep control of the game, which we still have trouble doing that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, moving on, I do want to make this comment. I think Everton is strong this year. And I think nobody better underestimate them. Because I think the minute you sleep on Everton, they're going to punish you.
I've been impressed.
Because their gaffer does the same thing as Wenger does at Arsenal. Except he actually doesn't have any money to work with at all.
Mm-hmm.
But he puts a solid team together. And I think you can tell by the way the players play, they come out on the pitch with a belief in themselves. And that takes a good gaffer to do that. And going up against anyone, they believe they can win. Whether it's realistic or not, they play with that belief. And, sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's really all it takes. So, but moving on. Dre
Yes.
Footie,
Yes.
tell us about your game.
All right. Well, there's two things about this game, and I'm going to wait on that red card situation till later because I know we're going to cover that in detail. But
Yeah.
watching this game, Manchester United and Liverpool, I learned two things. Both United and Liverpool are in trouble this year.
Yep.
And I think that Liverpool's troubles in this particular game are masked by those two referee decisions.
Yeah.
But you can't fool me. They didn't look like a cohesive unit. And, if they're going to challenge for a top 4 spot, something drastic is going to have to happen. But I'm not surprised. We talked about this before. Liverpool's handling of the management position, starting over for the third time in 2 years, at this level is devastating. Yep. And, in my opinion, they could have kept Dalglish because that's a man who loves the club to his very soul. And he has a track record. He has a history. But he's living and trying to work in a microwave society. And no one's going to be given time to build there. And, the thing that Wenger and Ferguson have, been fortunate enough to do is to come along at a time when you were given time to build a club. Those days are over. So, does it make me sad? No. I mean, it's Liverpool. Who cares? But sorry, Faz. But on the other side, United's injury problems are going to kill them. I mean, right now, it's the walking wounded. No defense, nobody in the middle of the park, in the middle of midfield that's going to do anything. I mean, we got Giggs and Scholes, two geezers back there, who I love. I mean, these are great guys, great servants to the club, but they're not full-time guys anymore. And
right.
So that's going to hurt the chances. They'll be fine later on, but this is a league where you can't drop points like this, and that on the stretch that I think is coming. And I'm surprised they beat Newcastle in the League Cup this week, but I don't feel confident about Spurs. I don't feel confident about anything yet until we get at least one or both of the center backs back.
Yeah. I would agree. I mean that they're two teams that could play each other because they're both experiencing difficulty.
Right.
And
it's a rivalry.
And it did show that both of them are struggling. But speaking on that game, I do want to move on to that red card. That red card was plain and simple.
I disagree.
No, because both of them went in.
Okay.
Both of them went in. Was it a yellow? Yeah, but it probably should have been a yellow on both of them, or it should have been left alone.
I agree that the consistency in being able to call the right thing at the right time was missing in this game. And back in the old days when Hooligan, you and I were watching stuff back in the 80s and 90s, no one would have batted an eye. They would have just played on. No one would have called. There would have been no whistle. But under the current circumstances, the definition of a red card, that was a red card. Now, the question is, should Johnny Evans have been sent off?
Yes.
Yes.
If you're going to send one off, you got to send both of them off because they did the same thing.
Exactly. That's the only thing I want to say. I think John Joe's card was accurate. I mean, it's a judgment call for the referee, but it's accurate. But if he's going to call that, and I'm a United fan, he's got to call it on Johnny Evans, who came in with 2 feet.
Yeah, I was thinking that whoever took the worst out of it, the person who made the tackle, was going to get the red card. Whoever it was, if Johnny Evans got the better of the tackle, he probably would have got the red card instead of the other way around.
Yeah, like he did against Holden,
I'm sorry. I think the card was bull. This same ref.
It's the rules, man.
No, that's his interpretation of the rule. Well, I think he went way overboard with it. I mean, this same ref.
I agree with that. I mean, I think that
this same ref had a red card for something similar the prior week against Norwich. The FA rescinded it. They reviewed it and said that was a bad call, and they rescinded the red card. So, I mean, that already is showing that it's overzealous. plus he's called. Let's not bullshit here. And I mean, Arsenal, it hasn't happened a lot for Arsenal, but I mean, it does go their way. You know, the big clubs, generally Manchester United happens to be infamous for it right now. Not that all of them don't do it, but they do get calls that go their way because Ferguson does intimidate people. Let's just be for real about it.
Man United will do what we want.
well, right. You know, and it's just like stoppage time. You know, and it may be accurate. I actually don't pay attention to stoppage time, but I mean, we all know it always seems like United has 5 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the game. You know.
Yeah, it may seem that way, but I think those things are just, you know.
Yeah, and I don't pay attention to what stoppage time actually does need to be added on. I never pay attention to that. But I'm sorry. I looked at it. I think it was a bullshit call. Should it have been called a foul? Yeah. I mean, if I was the ref, that almost would have been a drop ball. But if I'm giving anyone a card, I'm giving both of them a card. Or else I'm leaving it the hell alone. Play on.
I feel you, Hooligan. I would tend to agree with you, but I think the rules give the authority to the ref to do that sort of thing. That's all I'm saying.
They absolutely. It absolutely does. Does that mean the official is correct? I think not.
I feel like he needed to do it because of the rivalry and just the tenseness of it. Because if they would have just let that go, I would have think the game would have went out of control after that.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a good point.
I can see that too. Louise, what do you think?
I was just listening to what you were saying about like with Man United and stoppage time and red cards and stuff. I think now, obviously I'm not a fan of Man United, but I think now that everyone just assumes that if ever anything goes in their favour, that it's just because the ref is sided with them and stuff. I think people aren't going to be kind of unbiased enough with them. I didn't watch the game, I didn't see the red card or anything, but it does seem like everything goes to, in Man United's favour, which is a bit unfair. But, Liverpool still scored, even with 10 men, so, you can't knock them for that, but, I don't really know. Everyone is always going to say, oh, yeah, Man United have got the upper hand, the ref is in with them, etc., etc. I think that's just how it's going to be tainted from now on, just because they've had some decisions. So, but I've just been talking to my friend. He's a massive Liverpool fan, and he said that both challenges were the same as each other, and he should have either sent both off or kept them both on.
That I would agree with.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate. It's just that, if you watch that challenge, you'll see after the challenge, Johnny Evan rolls over and he looks hurt, whereas Jonjo is jumping up, and that, sealed his doom.
Yeah.
If he just rolled around like Johnny Evans, maybe he wouldn't have gotten a red card.
Well, and I think that right there is also an example of, at least I know the four of us on this podcast, that's the theatric element that's really entering the game in a big way worldwide that annoys the hell out of me. And I'm just, and I don't care. Fabregas used to do it for the Arsenal, and I'm like, look, dude, you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game. If you're not actually hurt, get the hell up and keep playing. I didn't hear a whistle blow.
Yeah, and you know what? And that penalty decision against Valencia was that way.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and Liverpool can complain about it as much as they want, but they got one of the biggest offenders in Suarez. That's in the game. But players are taught when they are touched to fall, because you get an advantage from that. There's a lot of money in the game, and if you can get a chance at scoring from a spot kick, you're being taught to do it. So he got pushed. Should he have gone down? It wasn't enough to make him go down or anything, but he collapsed like a house of cards, and the referee called it, and they scored. They won the game. So,
we'll get into what's taught, what should be. We'll get
Oh,
into that
yeah,
later on
I
in the
hate it.
podcast because, I mean, it's not
I hate
okay with me.
Oh no,
But
I hate it,
that,
and I don't care. I don't like Valencia for doing that. I didn't like Ashley Young for
right.
his theatrics. I can't stand it. I've seen Rooney do it, and I love my team. I love United, but that thing, it's not just United. It's across the
Oh
board.
yeah, absolutely. But let's keep it moving, guys. I mean, we have seen Suarez get called this year for simulation, but I think we've also seen it doesn't seem like it's as rampant as it was last year, but we've already seen, like we were just talking about, some real iffy, shady calls this year. Uh, do you think it maybe in the off season, all the refs got a refresher course, or do you think we're going to go back to seeing some really awful calls this season? Louise, what do you think?
I think the refs have got like a really hard job because as we were saying earlier about people are taught to dive and things like that. Like it's really hard for the ref to make a decision where people are
Yeah.
going to support him, and plus the ref can't see everything. This is the thing, is that the ref doesn't see everything and they miss a lot of things, and it's I don't think the decisions are going to get any worse. I just think people are playing a lot dirtier and being a lot more snide and stuff, and I just think it's making it harder for the referees. I don't envy their job at all.
Right.
Because, if two players go down and they're screaming and they're on the floor saying they're in pain, like, what are they supposed to do? It's a hard thing to call. I think it's going to get more difficult. But they can't keep stopping, They don't want to be stopping for sort of 5-10 minutes at a time trying to sort out a decision, because
Right.
it's not going to run as a game of football, is it? It's just going to be people messing about all the time.
Absolutely. Angry, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the game is fast. We see it on TV and we see that it's a little bit fast, but the game's moving way faster when they're on the pitch. And, you might see a touch and you might think that that's more. I mean, it might be wrong, but you might think that that's more than what it is. And,
Right.
Players are taught if you get touched or if, like, you can drag your foot, if you jump over tackle, drag your foot down on that guy's lunging tackle, go down, the ref doesn't know what to do. And like he doesn't have replay to, tell him, oh, slow down. Yeah, slow motion. Oh, okay. It wasn't a penalty kick. He dove. No, he doesn't have that. So I mean, I think it's hard. I don't think there'll be like a whole bunch of calls because I mean, we'll call out the calls and we might think that it's more than what it is, but it only might be like 3 or 4 times in the season, which it happens, which might be
Right.
a little bit too much, but it's not as much as we think it is. So, I mean, that's my take on it.
Okay. Dre?
Yeah, I agree with what's been said. It's probably the toughest job in the game right now, and every second is scrutinized by everybody. We have super slow motion replays, and this guy has to make a judgment call in a split second. I respect that, and particularly in England, because as for quality and bad calls or good calls or whatever, after watching Serie A, Liga, La Liga, and the MLS, I've come to realize that despite all the current criticism the English refs are getting, they're still the best refs on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other leagues sometimes, to me, is unwatchable because not only just the diving and stuff going on, but the standard of refereeing is poor.
Yeah.
And it is, watching a Barcelona game against anybody other than Real Madrid, Barcelona is going to be favored,
Yeah.
by the calls. And so some of the stuff I've seen, it looks criminal, but I think it's as good as it can be right now. And I'm not too worried about it. I'm more worried about, what Louise has said about players trying to take advantage.
Well, right, and like I said, we'll get into that in our second segment a little bit, because that's something I want to touch on. I would not want to be an official. Free official training has been offered to me, and I say no way. because I get one of these guys that runs up on me and starts telling me I'm an idiot, and we all know me.
Yeah, police and Marines get involved.
Yeah,
Hashtag
I'm not going to take that well, because if I'm the official, I'm viewing myself as the man, and if you get up in my face, you're going to have a bad day, or I'm going to have a bad day, and I'm going to make you cause it, however you want to look at it, but it's not going to be pleasant. I don't envy those guys, and I think they do have a very difficult job, but at the same time, I think if I was an official and I knew I blew a call, I'd be watching the game where I blew the call and just give myself a heads up for next time around. Maybe I can let that go next time because that looked like simulation. I don't know. Again, I'm glad I'm not an official. Just to mention real quick, Spurs suck, and they'll forever be in the Arsenal shadow.
Thanks for that update.
Yeah.
They did win on Sunday, by the way.
Who?
Angry? Be careful.
Who?
I would tell him a story about FIFA 13, but I think you might blow a gasket. So I'm gonna leave that story alone about how I won with a team that somebody doesn't
it'll
like.
Only take me about 2 hours and
2 hours?
Maybe a little over 2 hours to get up there. Don't make me Google Map you.
Do you have a private jet or something?
Kinda. It's called a 911. But anyway. Upcoming fixtures. The Arsenal have Chelsea, or as I like to say, the filthy chops. Louise, what are your thoughts?
I predicted 2-1 for that because I think we're at home anyway, obviously, which gives us an advantage. And I think after our draw with Man City next week, I think our players are going to go into it really strong and really positive. I mean, Chelsea were 5th, weren't they, last season? So, if we can draw with Manchester United, we shouldn't have any problems with Man City, we shouldn't have any problems with Chelsea. So, I'm quite positive about this. And I really hope we win. I'll be really disappointed if we don't, but I really think we will.
Yeah, I mean, the Chavs have some turmoil going on within their team right now anyway, over John Terry. But what's new? So they're without a strong captain and manager. So
no, I think he'll be playing.
I'm saying he may be playing, but he has so much going on. I mean, he can't be the captain and manage the team all at the same time.
This is true. He's a pretty good manager.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think we have to consider. Granted, some would say, "Oh, it was just Coventry City," but Giroud popped his Arsenal cherry. So that might have given that guy the confidence to see the back of the net. The Chavs do come up with some lucky goals. What else are you going to call them? Because they don't really seem earned. But as always, they tend to grind out results. So, I mean, you can't fault them for that.
Yeah, if you look at their previous results, like, they drew against QPR, and QPR are bottom. So, like, they're top of the league at the minute, but I think this is... when I was doing my predictions earlier, I was actually quite shocked at the amount of people who haven't won at home or away, and who are quite far up the table. So, the fact that they're top at the minute means absolutely nothing at all. And, if they can't beat a team like QPR, they only beat Stoke, like, 1-0. So, it's not really... And what else have we got here? I mean, they beat Wigan as well. Chelsea, Reading was 4-2. Well, they shouldn't have let Reading score twice. Reading have just come up. Newcastle. So I don't think any of their games where they've won have been particular. Like, I mean, I haven't watched or analysed the games, but just by looking at the results, there haven't been strong results. I mean, 4-2 against Reading, but they shouldn't have let Reading score. So you can kind of count that against the amount of goals they got. So I I don't think Chelsea are going to be too big a threat. I really
Yeah.
don't. Especially what's going on with John Terry as well.
Yeah, and I mean everyone has difficulty with Stoke, because they're more a rugby team than they are
Yeah.
a football team.
And they got
Which
Michael Owen, so
well,
that's a joke.
so they have a ballerina along with their rugby players.
Hey man,
So,
2001 European Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Okay.
What year is it today, though?
Yeah.
I can't believe when I saw that. By the way, I was like, he actually won one of these awards.
Didn't think he played long enough to win one.
I mean, let's not. I mean, Michael Owen had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
That I just never came to fruition. I mean,
Injuries killed his career.
yeah. I mean, I think he could have if he could have stayed healthy.
Yeah.
He could have been a contender. But
like Rocky.
yeah. But moving on, Angry. What are you going to watch this weekend?
I'm probably gonna watch that Arsenal-Chelsea game, and I'm gonna watch Valencia and Real Zaragoza. That's an interesting game. We need those 3 points. If we don't get it,
What are you going to
everybody's
do?
gonna start losing faith in the manager. And I mean, yeah, if we don't get 3 points out of that game, I mean, we're close. But we're like at least 11th, maybe. I might be a little wrong there, but we're closer to the bottom than the top. So, we should win this game. I really hope we do. I really hope we do.
You do.
Yeah.
Got the ability.
Yeah. And you, Dre?
Yeah, you guys have covered the game that I'm probably most interested in, Chelsea-Arsenal, because I think you'll see who's for real after this match. And Chelsea, I agree with Louise. I think it's been smoke and mirrors so far this season. I mean, after all, right, Angry? The MLS All-Stars beat Chelsea in the preseason.
This is true.
So I learned everything I needed to know about
God.
that. But
MLS All-Stars probably won all their games so far in this Premier League.
yeah. I mean, you're talking treble if they were in England. But anyway, Fulham. I think that Fulham, Manchester City. I'm really interested in this because City have looked god awful.
Yeah.
With the talent that they have, they look barely able to fill a competing team. And I don't know if it's just attitude or if they're just coasting and expecting people just to fall down in front of them. But Fulham's the type of team that can come up and do some damage to them. So besides my own game against Spurs, which I think we might lose, because I think we're going to have two teenagers in the center of defense coming up on the weekend, and that's not a good sign. But the Fulham Manchester City, other than the Arsenal Chelsea game, is what I'm most interested in seeing.
With that though, I wouldn't worry about as far as the teenagers being. I wouldn't worry about defensive lapses in the sense of they don't play or they don't read the play. I would be more worried about them committing fouls in the box and giving away penalty kicks.
Yeah, the inexperience. I mean,
right.
I mean,
Ferguson is not going to put someone in the middle of the field in such an important position that he doesn't have faith in. But their playing ability is one thing versus the experience. Do they know, this particular player, hey, if I go in on him like this, he's going to make a meal out of it and get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's what you more have to be worried about.
Yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah, haven't they tried to put Carrick in center?
Three games.
One of those guys?
Yeah, he plays center defense 3 games, and I think he'll probably be in the center defense this week.
Yeah.
Vidic, I don't know if you know, Vidic went in for another operation. He's out for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ferdinand's already out. Jones is out. Smalling is out. Who else is there?
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing Man United, a la Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal had the same problem last season.
Yep.
To start off, yep. No defense. Everybody at trainer's table.
All right, guys. Well, moving on. I just want to touch on a little subject that's, of course, personal to me. Being a youth coach, it's the importance of youth throughout the world. I mean, we see a lot of the European teams in particular they place a great deal of importance on the youth because those are the guys that fill their rosters. They have a constant stream of players and a constant stream of players they can sell and make money off of after they develop them. And I just think a little bit, especially in the United States, we're missing the boat in a big way. Just want to hear your thoughts on that.
I do. I think it's really important to start bringing the younger people through the team. I mean, obviously, us both being Arsenal fans, like we know that's probably one of Arsene Wenger's like really strong points. He's
Right.
like he does get young players in and he builds them up, through like the under-21s and things like that. And their youth program's really really good. Like I knew one of my hairdressers, her kid was in the under-7s team, and there was so much focus on them improving and stuff. And it's really really good because they are the future of football. So it's good to, kind of coach them through,
Yeah.
through the whole younger years. And I think it's so, so important to do that. Because, like you say, they're the players of tomorrow. They're the ones that we need to be looking after and checking that they're going the right way and avoiding injury and things like that.
Right. Absolutely. Angry?
Yeah, I kind of have a weird look on it. I mean, we see and you know about Hooligan and Dre. I mean, you have like 8 or 9 clubs in Atlanta, and all of them are based on how much money you have to pay for fees and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't see, well, at least in America, I don't see how we can improve it without getting rid of all these people wanting to be coaches so they can make a buck, or they're saying they're developing players, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're not doing much.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on that interesting thing. Fox has I forget the name of the show, but I was watching it yesterday afternoon before I went to work at Adidas, and they were showing the National Youth Cup thing, the tournament that they had in Rock Hill, South Carolina, up by you, Angry. What was interesting to me was, and they showed a bunch of teams. They must have showed 25 different teams. I saw 2 Hispanic people and about 4 black people. Everyone else white.
Yeah.
Even the coaches. And I'm just thinking to myself of the people that I touch within the game. The very best of the best, I'm sorry, are not of the Caucasian persuasion. They are immigrants, or they come out of the immigrant community, whether they were born here or not. And those are the people that really know about the game. And the game is in their heart, and they're not doing it because, or they're not coaching just because, I couldn't make it as a throw ball coach, or, baseball, and my kid liked playing this sport, and that's how I got into it. These are people that do it because they love it.
Right.
It's very disconcerting to me to see that. Of course, I have a vested interest because of my FC Aztec, but
Right.
it was just very, very interesting to me. I mean, how does that make you feel, Angry?
Yeah, I don't know. It just infuriates me. I can't describe the words to it at times, because I mean, I see good managers, I see good coaches out there. At least some of my former teammates are trying to coach, but they're just trying to get by. And like, even if they do develop a player, they just go to the big club.
Yeah. You've seen that because, Sherrod's, he's a former professional player here in the States and now a scout. And so you've seen it firsthand from top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, people tell me about it all the time. It's like, yep, well, I developed this player and he's going to go into the machine and probably not do anything because they're not going to develop him the way he should be developed.
Right.
Yeah. It really is amazing when you consider the potential resources of a country like the United States and how there's almost no export of talent going anywhere else.
Right.
And, I think the problem in the United States, speaking of the United States, because what Luis said is right. I mean, look at Arsenal, Manchester United. They invest in the youth. That's why they have a competitive edge year in and year out. Look at how many players leave Arsenal each year. yet they're always qualifying for the Champions League.
Yep.
That's a pattern. Every other manager, every other organization in the Premiership needs to look at that and say, why? Why are they succeeding?
Yep.
And the problem in a country like ours, in the United States, is that, despite all the money and the facilities, the potential youth resources in the country, we're always going to languish behind because we're trying to force feed a system of this sport that just doesn't work. The top leagues here, MLS, and the different leagues are run by non-football people.
Yep.
The head of the MLS is an NFL guy.
Yep. He's a marketing guy.
Yeah.
And as far as marketing goes, he's genius.
Yes.
But does he understand the game?
The sport, yeah.
No, he doesn't. He looks at the rest of the world and says, the rest of the world should move to the franchise model like us. Well, you know what? That doesn't include everybody. And you go to the UK, you go to mainland Europe, you go to China even. And the game includes everybody. The clubs include the community from, U7s, U5s on up.
Yeah.
And I mean, myself as a coach, I'm unselfish. I'm in it for the kids, not in it for the buck. Some of my kids, as they develop, I pray to poach them out to somebody. I pray that someone will come go, hey, I want him. Fortunately, one of the assistant coaches at the Silverbacks, indeed, wants 3 of my kids now. That's good. But as far as that goes in the U.S., I don't know.
We're going to have the next couple of podcasts. I'm bringing in Ted Westervelt and Matt Purvis, and we're also going to have a debate with some closed league supporters who are against open leagues in the United States. And the even with some of the MLS guys who are on our own podcasts, when we talk about open leagues and how that can positively affect the youth in this country,
right?
The subject that comes up is the business model and how the business model in this country doesn't support it. And those of us who follow the world game know that this is horse hockey. We have closed leagues for one reason and one reason only, so that a small few can capitalize on the financial setup and control its internal costs and interests. That's it. It's not to develop the sport or anything. It's, we don't have clubs. MLS teams are not clubs. They're franchises. They're businesses. They're like a storefront. And so the community, there are more Americans who are interested in foreign leagues than there are in the MLS.
Absolutely.
And that is for a reason. The competition structure that we find around the world is just more compelling. Plus, if you have clubs, independent clubs, you get to build on the community's support rather than trying to market to them.
Right.
And because the United States, in the United States with these leagues, they're having to look at marketing. They're going after a certain demographic, and it ain't the minorities. It's not where the talent is.
Exactly. Who loves the game?
Right.
Who naturally loves the game? Louise, let me ask you a question. As you listen to this conversation, is it just to hear this, living where you are, is it just bizarre to hear this in regards to football?
Yeah, it is. It's very. Because I haven't sort of grown up around people who play football and things like that. But it's ridiculous that football is all about money, and it's all about who's got the most money to put in. And in a community, they're not going to be able to fund it as much as a company who are going to put sponsorship and stuff in it. So it's all a bit bizarre. But football's corrupt, so it's never going to be run properly. It's never going to be run how, because it is all about the money. There's going to be people like you, Hooligan, who aren't in it for the money and just want to see the kids succeed. But unfortunately, it's all money based. So
if we want to do football right in the United States, it's kids like mine that are the generation that's going to carry it. It's not your college populations. A lot of those college kids, they're going to realize, why am I going to go be a professional footballer and, start off making $30,000 a year and struggle when, I can go be a lawyer and start off making $80,000 a year and not struggle. pay off my student loans quick. Why would I go be a footballer?
You know, one thing I'd like everybody to do if they're listening to this podcast is go to the WFN website and look up podcast episode 55, and what that is an interview with an English guy named Gary Lamb, who's an honorary president of a team in Northeast Africa called Sunderland AFC Karachi. And listen to the story of this team that's in an open league, and think about the difference in the money that's in the MLS, in the leagues here, and even down in the youth level, and what these teams have to contend with, and why they are going to still be successful, even with no money. So to say that it can't work here because of money is ridiculous to me when you consider examples like that. And, you know, in the United States, we've never tried open leagues. Yet for some reason, we know it's not going to work, having never tried it. Yet the closed leagues, which have always been tried, have always failed. So where's the sense in that, you know? But anyway.
Well, I mean, and again, back to Gary Lamb. I mean, look at AF Sunderland Karachi.
Yeah.
That club is in a developing nation, and they follow a youth model that's worldwide.
Yeah. They have 100 kids in their academy program.
Right. Yet the United States can't do that. It just
boggles your mind.
Yeah, and another thing, and Louise can weigh in on this too. You know, without a proper youth throughout the league, you know, there's, you know, FC Dallas has a good program. I think New York and Philadelphia have, and DC United all have decent. I don't think they have the level that FC Dallas has. But I mean, how can the MLS really consider itself a relevant league if it's not doing something top to bottom, bottom to top, however you want to put it? What do you think of that, Louise?
Mate, yeah, I don't. That's the thing I say, because obviously I don't follow football in America. I'm not kind of too sure on that, but
good for you.
Yeah.
But that's the thing as well. Is obviously like the youth program where you are is going to be completely different to in England, because football's our main sport over here. Whereas I guess, you know, you guys watch baseball, basketball, and American football more. So it's just
not us.
You know, and that's an interesting. I'm glad Louise brought that up, because that's been an argument too that a lot of MLS people have given to me and said, because I always say, well, look at the resources here, and they say, well, yeah, but most of us, you know, we watch NFL, MLB growing up, and we get involved in those sports, so it's not as many people. And I disagree with that. I think that because of the enormity of the country and the immigrant population we have, if you went to the immigrant population that are U.S. citizens and where their main sport is football, then you can grow a sport.
Yeah.
Grow the sport and develop those things in an open league and develop that talent and those youth systems. But they don't do that. They go after the kids who are playing soccer as a second sport.
Right. And what's interesting to me, my FC Aztec kids, now these are all, they're in the Hispanic community. They're all American-born kids. Right. None of them. I mean, if you mention the MLS, they're like, what? We don't even know any teams in MLS.
Yeah.
They follow La Liga.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they watch. Some of them watch the Premiership, too. Like, I have one of my kids that he's admittedly a bandwagon City supporter, you know, and I tell him, I'm like, you know, Jose, you know, that's not good, man.
You're off the team.
Yeah. You know, and I'm always posting all sorts of Arsenal stuff on his Facebook page, but that's a different story. I harass him.
Hey, did you hear Beckham's, sorry to change the subject right quick, but Beckham's middle kid is an Arsenal fan?
Yep. Romeo is an Arsenal supporter.
Yeah.
Good lad, that one is.
Anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, kids like mine that really should be the future of footy in the United States, they're not watching anything domestic. They only watch, you know, our local Atlanta team because I take them to the game. If I did not provide tickets and take them to the game, they would pay zero attention to our local Atlanta team. And that's that's sad.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's
not going to change. I mean, the current marketing model that's in MLS, NASL, even USL here, which, Louise, those are our divisions that don't really involve themselves in promotion relegation. MLS is Division 1, NASL Division 2. They're all set up to go after the U.S. sports fan instead of the U.S. soccer fan.
Right.
And that's just not a winning model for the long haul. And they're going to be, it's a relevant league. They're always going to be a league because the way it's set up, they've guaranteed themselves financial stability. They're always going to make a profit. But competition-wise, it's not compelling. They'll never export talent because they're not developing it. And it is what it is. And, people can argue with me all they want, but, the track record is a track record.
Yeah, it's just sad. It's absolutely sad.
Yeah, but we'll explore this a little bit more. Like I said, with Ted and Matt, we're going to have a little powwow tonight, and next week we'll have a little debate and see what we can come up with.
Okay, well, everybody, thanks for joining us. That's going to be it for this week, and we'll do it again next week.
All right.
Lovely.